Welcome to the Scoop with Dukes. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes the Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes the Scoop. And please hit the like and subscribe button. If you have not become a member of the channel, look in the description, scroll to the bottom. You can become a member. We have varying levels of support. If you like what I'm doing, let me know. Become a member, and we have some member perks that'll be upping themselves or they'll be increasing in value as the season goes on. Falcons fans, day 2 training camp. That's why we're here. So, a couple of interesting things going on. One, Kirk Cousins balls out. Mike Penix doesn't have a great day. Mike Penix 5 of 14. Okay. But not the end all be all. I'm a big believer in MP9 for sure. But not what you really wanted to see. Glad to see Kirk Cousins is balling though, because if you're gonna pay him all that money, I mean, it's not. And this is what I do want to say about Kirk Cousins. It ain't like he forgot how to play football, and really he was balling until the injury. But we'll get back to that in a minute. But Dukes, how do you know what happened at training camp today if you weren't there? There's a guy by the name of Mark Raymundi. I think I'm saying his name right. He covers the Falcons for ESPN. I actually met the guy, great guy. I met him at the NFL Combine about 2 years ago. We had a mutual friend that introduced us, and by this time when he introduced us, I was blitzed. Yeah, I probably took maybe like 5-6 shots of Tito's. It wasn't gonna be a whole lot of networking going on, but Mark, I think we did exchange numbers in social media. I'm gonna be calling you, dog. But great job on the training camp breakdown. So what I want to do is I'll share my screen right quick and we can look at the notes together. We'll go through the notes and then I'll go through and I'll break down some of the things that that kind of interested me out of his notes. And for sure, if I'm not rocking with Mark Raymundi, as far as if I'm not using his notes for training camp, it's him and the Falcoholic. Kevin Knight does a phenomenal job. So I'd say those are the two sites that as I get into uh, more Falcons coverage, those are the two sites that'll be my eyes until I actually get out there. I'll be at training camp on Tuesday, so I'll be able to see it for myself, and I'll have my own footage. So let's get into what my man Mark went with. All right. So as you can see right up here at the top, we got my man Mark Monday. There we go right here. So let's get into the notes. Wide receiver Darnell Mooney was at practice in street clothes. Okay, cool. So shoulder injury. A lot of people are pretty much kind of like, dang, Mooney was a lot. I'm excited about Mooney this year as a as following the Falcons, and I think a lot of Falcons fans can breathe a sigh of relief that it's not a season-ending injury. Now, being that it was a contact injury, the way I heard it was that trying to finish a catch, he had an injury. So you're glad it's not a broken collarbone or something of that nature, or completely separate, or something more devastating with the shoulder. So, man, speedy recovery to Darnell Mooney. Newly signed receiver DJ Shark was at practice in a uniform, but didn't get any 11 on 11 reps. Okay, good. That he's in uniform. Look to see him. Guy who has great speed, great size. If you guys remember him from LSU a few years ago, we'll see what happens with this development in camp. But anytime you got a guy who can run a 4.3 40, I'm okay with him being on the perimeter for sure. Kadero Hodge got reps with the first team. Shout out to Kadero Hodge. Got a chance to interview him with my buddies, Uncle Neely and Big Dog Chico on the pregame network. If you want to check out that interview, go over to the pregame network and you can see the interview that we had with Kadero Hodge soon after he got his extension this year or his new contract. Kyle Pitts left practice early as part of the modifications, quote unquote, to his schedule due to offseason injuries that Coach Raheem Morris referred to earlier this week. Okay, cool. So he had some offseason injury concerns, and they're just modifying his workload. Nothing to see here. More than 4,000 fans in attendance. People are excited about the Falcons. Every year, the Falcons fans are just like, look, it's time, we're ready, and I think it's amazing to have that type of attendance on the hill, man, especially when you really didn't get a chance to attend like that last year. So it's good that it seems like it's going to be a groundswell for the Falcons. And I mean, last year Mercedes-Benz was going crazy at 6-2. And I'll say this about the Falcons and their fans, the relationship with the fans. It's just like man, can we have something to be happy about? That's what Falcons fans are usually saying. So when you give Falcons fans nice things, they do nice things. And so shout out to the fans for coming out and making that attendance, making their presence known. Let's go with Drake London made a nice one-handed catch during Indy. Okay, tips on the sideline. Nothing new. We know Drake London is that guy. Defense won the day overall with a number of solid pass breakups and forced fumbles. Okay, so we'll get back to this probably in a minute, but I love the energy that Jeff Ulbrich has been bringing. Like when you see him, I saw a video of him the other day just coaching and going through individual drills and going through the peanut punch drill, and he looks excited about every level of the game, about every minute of practice. There's an excitement. He has a cool nature, a teacher, but relatable, big guy in shape. Looks like he's hit a few people, right? If you know Jeff Ulbrich, you know that's true, and was able to give game on his actual NFL career to some of the rookies, man. So I think that's a home run hire. Really excited about what Jeff Ulbrich brings to the defense. All right, here we go. Mike Penix was 5 of 14, passing mostly against the second team defense, and 0 for 2 in one series against the ones. Quarterback Kirk Cousins was 9 of 10 passing. Penix's receivers, Drake London, 2 catches, Kadero Hodge, 1 catch, Bijan Robinson, 1 catch, tight end Tegan Quitoriano with 1 catch. Cousins went 9 of 10 against the ones with David Seals of West Virginia, 3 catches, Jesse Matthews, 2 catches, Casey Washington, 1, Jamal Agnew, 1, Tyler Algier, 1, Felipe Franks with 1. We're going to come back to that. We're going to talk about that situation. Okay, cool. DeMarco Hellams had a great practice with the second unit, including punching the ball out after a learning catch as the aforementioned peanut punch that I was talking about. Really like Hellams. Heard some great things about from one of his former coaches, Mr. Charles Kelly, who's now at the Jacksonville State University. He's the head coach now. But when he talked, he had Brian Branch, he had DeMarco Hellams, and he always talks about Hellams. He really loves that guy, and I expect him to continue to be a good player. Mike Hughes punched the ball out for a forced fumble on a carry by Jashawn Corbin. So nice to see Hughes stepping up in the run game, even with his veteran status, still getting his nose in there. And I think that's good because you can see as guys get older, sometimes they may not, especially on the perimeter, they may not have that same vigor for sticking their nose in there in the run game, but good to see him still taking on that responsibility. Zach Harrison played mostly with the ones and picked up today's only sack. Zach with the sack. Glad to hear it. Anybody that can continue to help further that pass rush, man, that's because right now you got 2 unknown commodities right now in James Pierce and Jalen Walker. Even though they are high-end commodities and you put a lot of capital in them, they're just unknown. So anything to help, right? Even with Zach Harrison, like, shoot, we don't know exactly what you're going to get from Zach Harrison, but man, isn't that nice to see his name flash already? Shout out to Zach Harrison running with the ones. Natron Brooks, one of my favorites, and Lamar Jackson both had good pass breakups. I like both of these guys. I like Natron Brooks because of the way he's just such a scrappy defender. He competes, and Lamar Jackson because of his size, man. When we talk about having a 6'2" corner, Lamar Jackson, the other Lamar as we call him, I really think that he could help this team. Penix had Bijan Robinson wide open on a wheel route, just like the Commanders game last year, but Robinson could not come up with it. Okay, not gonna dive into that too much right now. And speaking on David Seals, a 6'3" former quarterback, seems to be Cousins' early favorite target with the reserves. They connected for a big play down the right sideline. So once again, make sure you go follow Mr. Mark Raymondi, MarcRaimondi. Tell him Dukes the Scoop sent you for sure. So let's dive in a little bit. So Mike Penix doesn't have the best day, right? 5 for 14. Mark eventually says somebody asked him a question in the Twitter thread, and they asked him. They say, "Well, were there any drops?" And Mark said a few. So Mark is an esteemed writer and author. He's got a great book out on the NWO. Make sure you check that out. But Mark says a few. So I'm gonna take the liberty to go more than one, more than a couple. That's two. So at minimum 3 drops. So if we go with that, a minimum of 3 drops, right? Assuming based on the information that he was. So if you have 3 drops that are completed, then you're 8 for 14. Now it doesn't sound as bad of a day, right? If you're 8 for 14 instead of 5 for 14. But we know you got drops aren't taken out of the equation for a reason. So 5 for 14. Falcons fans, let me ask you this. Kirk Cousins was 9 of 10 in practice today. Okay, cool. Mike Penix was 5 of 14. Is there a world where Kirk Cousins could outperform Mike Penix this year? And if he did outperform Mike Penix in camp, would you be okay with Kirk Cousins being the Falcons starting quarterback for one more year and letting Mike Penix continue to develop? Would you be okay with that? Now let's just keep it a buck. The Falcons were 6-2 last year, and it looked like they were on their way to easily being a playoff team. Okay, cool. Kirk Cousins later tells us he had an injury, and that's why he started throwing picks around like singles at Magic City, and the Falcons started losing. So Falcons fans, I don't want y'all to forget when he was doing it was Kirko chains, and we do what we can, no cap. We walk in your trap, take over your trap, and y'all was in love. Oh my goodness. When nobody y'all mad at Kirk Cousins. Didn't nobody get mad till he started throwing out them picks. But he was hurt. Now, let's say, would things be different if Kirk Cousins says, you know what, I'm hurt. Mike Penix comes in, still plays well, but Falcons maybe go to the playoffs, early exit. Kirk Cousins comes back this year. Would this be a true quarterback competition if Kirk Cousins would have said, hey, I'm hurt, instead of trying to play through it and playing poorly? That's something to think about. What do you think? I'll say this. I think that right now Mike Penix is your guy. But do not expect for Kirk Cousins to just go away quietly. A 9-10 day against the ones is a great day. Now, I think Michael Penix does. He's got fresh legs. He's got a stronger arm. There are some things that he'll be able to do that Kirk Cousins just can't. But there are some things that Kirk Cousins has an experience that allow him to be better in some ways. But I think right now, based on the small sample size that we've seen, Michael Penix is your guy. But I just want to give you guys something to think about. Training camp again tomorrow. I think we'll be looking at I know everybody be out there. Make sure you tune in to Locked On Falcons. They do a good job. My man Jarvis Davis from the Locked On Network. Make sure you check out his program. So it's a lot of guys for you to check out, man. Any Falcons content creators, holler at me. I'm open. So, but yeah, man, until tomorrow, I'll be back. All right, I'm out.